Let me tell you, she's probably the first author that comes to mind. I was like, I don't get it, but like ice hockey. Hi, I'm Annie and I read a lot. Well, I do read a lot. If you follow me on Instagram, which you should totally do, by the way, I put on my story, whenever I finish a book, I just whack the book up on my stories, and I've even got a highlight. I think I've read something like, I think I've read 45 books this year, which is a lot, but then you realise that I have a lot of downtime, and I spend a lot of time on public transport. And when I don't want to spend time on my phone, I read. I've always done it, it's just what I've been like ever since I was little. But annoyingly, ever since Booktok got me in a chokehold, I've just been non-stop, like, spicy books. I do read other things, by the way, so if this goes well, I will do other reviews on different books that I've read, but I figured that seeing as Booktok is super popular and there are tons of people asking for reviews on these popular books, I'd give you one, you know? So here we go. This is basically what I think of some of the most, like, virally popular books at the moment. We're gonna start off strong, all right? This is possibly one of the best books I've ever read in terms of like spice versus cute, but it's The Spanish Love Deception. And let me tell you, this book, the concept is pretty much like enemies to lovers, fake dating. She's Spanish, well, her family's all Spanish, she's living in the US, he's American, sort of like cultural differences. He's like super moody and a bit broody and doesn't really say what he's thinking, and she just rambles, and it's super cute. And there's just some excellently written fun I need another word for it. I think we'll just have to call it spice in this book. Maybe, I don't know what it is, a lot of these books, like the male love interest is tall, muscly, a brunette with blue eyes, and is not grumpy but like quite reserved, and I'm like, oh, why am I into that? Maybe I have a type. There's a sequel to this as well, which I have read. Here's the sequel. Same family really, so it's her, like, Lena's best friend and her cousin in this. Lena and Aaron do make an appearance in this one as well, which is really cute. I mean, spoiler alert, they're all romance books. Would it be romance if they didn't end up together? I think not, make your own judgment, but it's very cute, very fun. There's a scene, who knew a wink could do so much? I remember sitting on, like, reading this in bed, mind out the bin please, and the cat, I was at Ben's and I was cat sitting because he was away on holiday, and I was just remember reading this scene with the wink, and I gasped so loudly that my cat like sprung a foot off the bed because I'd scared her. Good books. This one's definitely better. The spice is definitely hotter in this one, although Lucas has moves, so we'll leave it there. Okay, where would we be? I feel like I should just address the elephant in the room, and that is Colleen Hoover. And I don't know why I didn't start with her, to be honest, but she is basically, if you think of Booktok, she's probably the first author that comes to mind. She's just done so well because her books are bite-sized. Some of them are a bit gritty, some of them are better than others, don't get me wrong, I'll go through that in a second. They're like young adult fiction for grown-ups, if that makes any sense. So the topics are very adult. There's always, the characters are super flawed, there's always massive misunderstandings, but it seems to be wrapped up, like there seems to be some sort of conclusion to it. And other books super deep and meaningful, some yes, some no. You can't deny the fact that her success has like skyrocketed thanks to TikTok, so much so that one of her biggest books has now got a sequel that she never thought she'd write, but Booktok basically made her do it. So Colleen Hoover, I think I've read 5 of her books now. So I think I started with this one actually. It ends with us. Like, if you've been on the internet, you'll recognize this cover. It does need trigger warnings. There is domestic abuse as a trigger. Again, this is what I mean, like her books aren't just like rainbows and sunshine. There's stuff that goes on in these books. I'd say it's good, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite. I mean, I've literally got the sequel upstairs on my bed. I pre-ordered it and then forgot I ordered it. So when it came in the post, I was like, ooh. I'd say this one's good. I'd say it's interesting. I would watch out if you are triggered by domestic, like, physical abuse. It is dark in places. I did finish this book and I didn't realise I was crying when I finished it, because I was like, wow, that's amazing. About this girl called Lily. There are two male like leads in it. You've got Ryle and you've got Atlas, and it's romance, like it flashes back and forward, it's complicated, it's dramatic, it's a good read. I wouldn't say don't read this. I don't remember what the spice is like in this. I just remember being really into it and then being really disappointed because something happens and I'm like, oh no. It's a good one. It's a good one. I'd say if you do want to read a Colleen Hoover and you're okay with some of the darker stuff. I mean, this is not dark romance, but I don't read dark romance. Not my thing. I know, I follow a TikToker who does, and if you need her for anything, her name's, oh god, I know her name's Destiny, but I don't know what her tag is. I'll find it, I'll put it down here, but she is my Booktok queen. So if you need Booktok inspo, I literally just look at her TBR, like to be read list, and I use that. So most of these are actually recommendations that I've seen off her or Booktok. So yeah, Colleen Hoover. But speaking of other Colleen Hoover books, I've got It Starts With Us, and I've got, I think, Reminders of Him upstairs. They're in my TBR. So I've got 4 more of her books down here. I'll just run you through all of them because I feel like, you know, if you're gonna buy books, so I don't go on nights out, so I buy books. Some say that's antisocial. I just say it's a good life choice. Also, you're gonna have books forever. I'm gonna be that girl. I blame my parents for this, okay? This is gonna be a complete and utter detour. But my favorite Disney princess growing up was Belle, and she loved to read. And I loved that about her. And in the opening song, she gets on like a bookshelf which has a ladder and she like goes along it. And it has been my dream ever since I was old enough to watch that film to have one of those in my house, and I cannot wait for the day when I have a floor-to-ceiling bookshelf with a ladder with all my books that I've collected over the years, because I love stories. I'm a hopeless romantic at heart. I love so much. So Booktok like reached out, grabbed me, and as I've gotten older as well, love comes with more stuff. And so I do buy physical books because I love having them and I love having stories to just like dive back into. And I do reread books too. Colleen Hoover, right, sorry, that was a tangent and a half. I was this close to reorganizing all my books downstairs. My ADHD is off the scale today. But okay, so Colleen Hoover books. Number 1, Verity. It's tied for first place as one of my favorites. It's thrilling, it's complex. You finish it and you're like, what did I just read? And what is the truth? Like, it's a mindfuck, this one, and I loved it. I read it on holiday. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Ben and I went to a beach club and I saw 2 other people reading it and I was like, oh, good, it's fab. Okay, next one, Confess. Such a cool concept. As the title suggests, Confess. There are confessions in it. They're actually from her like readers, which is so interesting to read. It's like, wow, because it just like makes you realize everyone's human. Ties together at the end. It's good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's not the worst one of hers that I've read, because that one is this one. If I don't like you, I'm recommending this to you. I'd say it's fine. It's cute. The notion's all right. I like the theme. I like Fallon. Annoyingly, the lead guy in this that really annoys me is called Ben. Like, it just when it wraps up at the end, I was like, I don't get it. You know, you read it and you're just like, she needed at least 4 more chapters to fit the ending in. And I was just like, why? Not a waste of time. It was a good book. I read it quick, but it's just a bit like, eh. This one, tied for first place. This book gave me so many feelings I didn't know I have. I think this is the only one with a blonde protagonist that I'm really into. But Miles Archer, flawed people, communication issues, best friend's younger sister for Miles, like he's a pilot, like the tragedy. I just like, oh my god, the chemistry between these two is good. Like the emotional development of all the characters is incredible. There's a song called All My Ghosts by Lizzie McAlpine, and I feel like that song sums up these two so badly. You just have to imagine it's being sung by him instead. But oh my god, this one, if I like you, I'll tell you to read this one. If I don't, I'll tell you to read this one, okay? You get this one. So next up, on the list, I'll just keep going now. Next up on the list, this is the one that started it all for me. This is, I didn't read Colleen Hoover first. Do you know what I read first? The Love Hypothesis. The author has a background in STEM, and she uses that to write romance in a way that I just kind of, is it like, again, the best thing ever written? Like, technically, maybe, I don't know. It's just so good, you know? It has the quintessential romance scene of, like, you know, the girl is crying, sat on like the edge of the bed or something, and then like the guy's like wiping away a tear with his thumb, but it's like barely, like trembling with like barely contained rage, saying, "Who did this to you?" It has that. It has it. And that, my friends, is a good romance book. And there's a bonus chapter on the spicy bit from his point of view, and I'm just like, oh my god, I read it and I was literally like, you know, when you just can't compute something and you're like, Jesus Christ on a bike. He's a bit moody, she's chatty, he's a professor, she's a PhD student, it's totally consensual, they get it out in the open, it's fine, so there's no like weird dynamic there at all, like it's not a power player. And apparently he's super hot, super chilled out, he's really into her. It just hey, my camera battery died and then didn't die, very strange. Okay, but that did, like, I do need to speed up and I need to stop reading these. Okay, this is true book talk. This is full on book talk. This is like specific as well. This is like sports spice, but like ice hockey. And then I got into like a deep dive because I don't know what ice hockey players look like. We don't really have ice hockey here in the UK. Again, I like sporty guys. Guys, this is not a surprise to anyone. And the lead character in this, her name is Anastasia, and I was like, sick. Her childhood nickname was Annie because she couldn't spell Anastasia. And I was like, she's me, that's it. Maybe she's bendy, maybe she's a brunette, maybe she's super talented ice skating. I'm none of those things, but we have the same name, so it's basically about me. He's a cutie, this guy. The main character in this, Nate, every girl should want a Nate. Like, he's just protective, caring, great in bed, loving, just good cuddles, is really great in bed. Like, apparently he's really great in bed. So it starts off a bit as like enemies to lovers, and then it goes into like not a real, like, lack of communication, but like not real, like fake dating-ish, like, but yeah, it's just so good. Okay, it takes you on a journey, this book. It's bigger than you think, but I tore through it. Mainly because he's really great in bed. It's really cute, basically. It's a good one. Don't read it if you can't handle people going at it every other chapter, because these two are practically feral for each other. Nothing wrong with that. As Rachel Green says, there's nothing wrong with a woman... What did she say with her erotica? Oh, there's nothing wrong with a woman enjoying a little erotica. There's nothing wrong with it, and I'm sticking with that. Rachel Green is the original Booktok queen. This might be my favourite book of the year, or one of them, and she has become my favourite author, I think, of all time. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I just, like, it's perfection to me. They're making it into a film, which is terrifying, because when you love a book, like, you want them to do it justice. Just, it's funny, it's heartwarming. The two like lead characters are both flawed in a way that makes them likable, but their flaws are liked by each other. So she comes from LA, super wealthy. He's grown up in this fishing town. He's quite quiet, quite gruff, quite blunt, but they love that about each other. Like, he loves to spoil her, and that's, even though she is spoiled, he loves doing it. And it's just like, it's the perfect reflection of, you don't have to be perfect to the reader to be perfect for the relationship that's in the book. And it's just, it's lovely, it's good, it's spicy. There is a sequel called Hook, Line and Sinker. I made the colossal mistake, actually. I actually bought this one first because I didn't realize they were together. Because Waterstones only had this one on the table. I was like, that looks cute, and then it was like the follow-up, and I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to read the first one. Personally, I do prefer this one. I prefer Brendan as a lad. Don't get me wrong, this is really cute. So it's about sisters. So this one's about Piper and this one's about Hannah, the Bellinger sisters, and they're just good. I know that if I see one of Tessa Bailey's books, it's gonna be good. So that's why I've also read two more of hers. I read this one and this one, both spicy. This one, don't let the cartoon covers fool you for any of her books, because and this one, I mean, this guy in this one is an ex-baseball player and his nickname is Two Bats. That should tell you everything you need to know about that one. It happened one summer. If you do want to dive into Booktok and you don't want to go through any of the slightly darker themes that maybe are in Colleen Hoover, or The Spanish Love Deception doesn't do it for you, or The Love Hypothesis, I mean, they're all so different in their own ways. Like, you kind of see romance and you group it together, think, oh, it's just like people making out with each other. Yeah, fair, it's part of the trope. There's a reason it's called romance. There is romance in it. But it's just when you get books like this, it just makes you happy, you know? You sit back with a cup of tea, read your fun book, have a good, like, there is no disappointment in this book for me at all, nor in this one. I believe there is some like spice in this one. This lad Fox, Don't let your mum read it. Okay, I've got two more real quick. This one's a placeholder because my mum's actually got my copy of the actual book, because I recommended it to her book group and they're actually reading it. So you're welcome, book group. But Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which is actually on the sticker, like there. All of these books, Malibu Rising, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Daisy Jones and the Six, and her latest one that's just come out called Carrie Soto is Back. They are all kind of, they're in the same world. So there are small mentions of the other ones in each of them, but you don't need to have read one to understand the other, if that makes any sense. So you don't have to read them in any particular order. But Seven Husbands, you look at it and you think, oh God, like, come on. And you read it and you're like, actually, this is all pretty plausible. It's just a good read. I know the person who recommended it to me in the first place read it, and it's the reason she broke up with her boyfriend at the time. So it teaches you a lot about yourself. You read it and you think, wow, okay. So Taylor Jenkins Reid, good books, good reads, super easy, not smutty, I don't think. I don't think they're as spicy as you'd think. And last but not least, because I can literally see my camera battery flashing, Kiss Quotient, super cute. She's autistic, which has got Asperger's, and he is an escort. She hires him, you know, fake dating. You know what happens. Fake dating never goes well. Everyone always ends up falling in love. So it's super cute, super interesting to read it from somebody who's what we class as neurodivergent, like me. Different kinds though. So I was reading this, originally actually when I got diagnosed with ADHD, they thought I could have Asperger's, and reading this, so the author got diagnosed with Asperger's as well. It doesn't feel like me. There are bits of it that I can relate to, but it doesn't feel like me. So I mean, there you go, that's a good difference to know if you want to find out the difference. But yeah, it's super cute, super different, really easy, really fun. Just all around wholesome, despite the spice. If you have any questions about any of these books, or if you want reviews of other books, or if you want to start even like a little book group, like, please let me know, because I love reading. I've got books piled up on my lap right now. So yeah, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Please tell me if you've read any down below, what you recommend next, if you like books, if you don't like reading, what you don't like about reading, if you want helps, like tips to get into reading, like seriously, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.